Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner, to the first video of 2016, and we're going to kick it off with something that I've been wanting to talk about for a bit, and that is the Revival Collection. This is coming out this week and I'm excited for it. This is something that Vanguard has desperately been needing for a long time, and for those of you who still don't know what it is, I'm just going to put it pretty blunt. It's a reprint set. You know how Yu-Gi-Oh! Has the Gold series, Premium Gold, and the Mega Tins? This is that. Granted, you aren't getting your cards in god awful gold rare, but you're still getting reprints of several cards that are really difficult to find and expensive, and as a result, a lot of decks in Vanguard have become a lot cheaper to build. And instead of reviewing the entire set like I was originally going to do, because that's probably going to be like an hour-long video, and no, I don't want to do that anytime soon. Instead, I'm just going to highlight certain cards in here that are the reason why a set like this I feel is going to do very well, because this is unprecedented. One, Bushiroad is actually listening to the player base. Reprint, 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 reprint. We want reprints has been one of the things we've been demanding from them for the last while. The other one being Hit Gear Chronicle. But let's take one thing at a time, folks. At least we're also getting best of 3 too, but I digress. This set is very important though, because this is one of those instances of Bushiroad actually listening to us, and it allows certain decks to actually become easier to play, because several of their cards were just impossible to find in the market because the sets they originally came out in were out of print. Set 2 is a pretty good example, as Lambros and Conquest Dragon, they're difficult to get now, and as a result, they're just expensive by nature, but because of the Rival Collection, at least one of those cards is going to go down in value. Like how Wailing Thavaz, not Wailing, Commander Thavaz has gone down because of his reprint, and his reprint in general is also really cheap. And again, rare foiling versus triple R foiling, but I digress. This is still a very good set, and it's one that we need to do our best to make sell. Because if this set sells, then that means they're going to see that there is a market for these kind of things, and thus they'll make another Revival Collection. And in that Revival Collection, they'll put in things that they didn't get in this one, such as G Perfect Guards that unflip damage, Dragon Dancer, Anastasia, Protect Orb, Dragon, Plateau is his name? Like, all of those cards that are like $20 now because they didn't get reprinted in recent SP packs, they could definitely use these kind of reprints in here. Some Stride Bearers, such as Rising Nova, he could use a reprint. And even like themed Stride Bearers like Anger Boil Dragon. You get my point though. So this is the potential of something even greater happening, but only if it sells. I've no doubt that it will sell. It's more or less a fighters collection, right down to the fact that you get 10 packs per box, you get 3 cards per pack, 2 will be a rare, and 1 will be either a double R or greater, be that being a triple R or an SP. So I imagine it's probably going to cost the same. I hope they don't charge like $70 to $80 for these things, because that would be kind of a dick move. But still, I think there will be a lot of this on the market just because the demand for this is so high. Assuming, of course, you manage to pre-order. I pre-ordered 2 boxes, and I'm probably going to open at least one of them on camera, maybe both, depends on how much they cost. I don't know if I'm going to get both of mine, but I am going to do a box opening for this, because I just want this set to, the word on this set to spread so that more people invest in it, so that the chances of us getting another one of these things increases, because as I've often alluded to, I am pro reprint. I want reprints. I want more reprints, and this set selling well means we will get more reprints, because when reprints are done, more people are inclined to pick up things that they couldn't pick up before. Thus, a player base grows instead of dwindles, because more people are actually investing in it. And if more people are investing on it, a card game can grow. As opposed to people saying, no, this shit's too expensive, I'm not playing, and they go. So I think the pros of the reprints far outweigh the very few cons that there are to them. It does suck for the people who've been holding on to things like Geyser Dragons, thinking that they'll never go down in value, but the needs of the 1 or 2 do not outweigh the needs of the very, very many more that have been wanting to pick up Shadow Paladins forever, but couldn't because Geyser Dragons have been so damn pricey. And for some people, $30 per card is a little bit much. Like Lambros being $70 each was absurd. Like, a lot of people were just like, nope, I'm not touching Aquaforce because Lambros and Commander Thavas were just way too much. So, that little rant aside, let's just go over the nitty gritty of the set. So, there are certain cards in here that I feel stand out head and shoulders over the others. And what we're getting in here are reprints of several iconic units, some of them having been given support in recent booster sets. And then a lot of promo cards that we never got before are being included in here. Some are reprints of cards that were included as box toppers in recent booster sets. Others are not. They also missed a couple, I feel. Like Balog did not get in here, and I think he should have, especially over the Kagero card that is the other grade one in here. But the other one's actually good. Like, I'm just going to highlight a few that I feel are fairly important. So let's just give me a second to pull all of these up. Let's see, you. No, not you. And just some of them are just neat to point out. You. You. Oh, I think that might have been too many for now, so we'll just get back to these in a bit. So, for instance, Neo Nectar only gets one card of this set, which is actually kind of disappointing because I think Maiden of Sweet Berry could have used a reprint as well, but she's going to be in the try 3 character booster, so... Oh, pardon me for that, by the way. I accidentally touched my mic, but she's going to be in the character booster, so Murka is not a bad choice. So we're getting the original artwork for Murka, whereas up until this point, we had only the special box topper art. Still glad that we got it because Murka is a 9k booster for the Musketeer deck, which is kind of good. Although, on the other hand, Aquaforce is getting Tidal Assault, and this is a reprint that's been needing to happen for years now. This card has been expensive for a while. Yeah, he's not as pricey as he used to be, but he was still very difficult to get. People never really had only one Tidal Assault. They always had playsets, and you were always looking for that one Tidal Assault. This gives you a chance of getting it, and he'll probably be like $5 as opposed to being $15. Still, this card's always been very, very good. Lambros makes it even better. I mean, he swings for 19, and he swings for 14. More if you've got a booster. Him with crits has always been absurd, and he's usable in every Aquaforce deck out there. Not much else I can really say about that. Like, this is probably the best rare reprint in the set. Swordmaster Mimic is pretty good too. It's a Grand Blue card that we've been wanting for a while now. Skill is when it's called from Drop Zone, GB1. He gains 3k until end of turn. And if he's hollowed, then he gets 3 more, so he becomes a +6, making him a 13k attacker or booster. He is getting reprinted in Roomy Labyrinth of the Moonlit Light. Really, that's its name? Okay. So he is getting reprinted in there. That's news to me, but still, we're getting this thing now, and it's a good one of in Grand Blue decks. Probably cut the Performing Zombie. Is that his name? The one that when you call it, you can Foolish Burial card. I think this is just a better card. Ancient Dragon, Geno, Conda. I'm mentioning this because Tachikaze, as far as I know, are very counterclass oriented. Pardon me. At least Ancient Dragons are. Tachikaze have always just been very heavy in counterblast. And this guy is a Soul Blast 2 on flip too. Any clan that can get cards like these, I feel deserves them. So good on them for getting that. Detonix Drill Dragon is a promo card that Narukami players have been asking for a while now. His skill is on ride, Limit Break 4, Counterblast 2, board wipe. And then during your turn, if your opponent has no rear guards as Vanguard, he gets power plus 10,000. There is a break ride from G Set 5 called Detonix Stinger Dragon, where you get your Vanguard the ability of when he attacks, if your opponent has no front row, they can't guard with anything but ones, and if he attacks your opponent has no back row, he gets an extra critical. So this guy, if you break ride on top of Detonix Stinger Dragon, is going to be a 31k attacker with an extra crit, and your opponent can only guard with grade 1s or G Guardians. Neat. More important though, this is a potential backup Vanguard to Dragonic Vanquisher now, and one that has actually some potential applications. If you're playing against a deck that like throws a bunch of cards on the board, you can ride this thing, Counterblast 2, wipe the board out, and then get the Vanquisher the following turn. I honestly might give this thing a shot. We'll see. Dragonite Rulon is the grade 2 counterpart to Balog with Kagero, except he works a bit differently. So when he intercepts, you choose your Vanguard, and it gets the ability of if it at the end of the battle your Vanguard is attacked, and if it didn't hit your opponent, you choose one of your opponent's rest rear guards and kill it. So it will be played in Hand Trap Kagero, I think, but Hand Trap Kagero is kind of not good right now because Gear Chronicle just thrashes it a good one. But if Gear Chronicle gets hit, then Hand Trap Kagero might come back into the format. Binoculus Tiger is just a solid reprint for Great Nature, although I think this honestly should have been Crayon Tiger. That card is generally stronger, but this card's not that bad of a choice too. I think Crayon Tiger will probably be in the next one. Steam Maiden Millum, very good reprint. We've been needing this for a while now. Unfortunately, because of the fact that people suspect she's going to get hit on the ban list, she's gone down in actual value. So you aren't really saving a whole lot more money on getting this version as opposed to the original one. But hey, this card used to be $30, and then the reprint got announced, and then she tanked down to 20, and then to 12, and I don't know where she's at now, but she's nowhere near the card she used to be. But still, this is a very good card. Like, this is probably one of Gear Chronicle's best double R's out there next to their G Perfect Guard, and that's getting a reprint in the Try 3 booster. So good choice. Dueling Dragon Zambako mentioned just because when Dueling Dragon Zangeki or whatever his name was announced, this guy went up an absurd amount despite the fact that Yasui was just the better deck. So they decided, hey, let's reprint this card because it's not like Murakuma has a lot of cards in here. Side note, Angel Feather and Numatama didn't get reprinted in here, and I think Grade 1 Noxel could have definitely benefited from the reprint. Great Angel Doombrace is getting in here. I'm trying to think of Genesis double Rs that really could have used the reprint over Doombrace, but I'm having a difficult time thinking of very many, as it's really just their triple Rs that are kind of on the pricey side, and even then it's just Fenrir. And they decided not to reprint Fenrir. They instead will go with another card we'll talk about in a bit. But Doombrace is a solid pick. He was kind of getting a little pricey for what he was. Raven-haired Ezel is in here. It's a promo card from Japan. I think people said they'd be running it in an Ezel deck alongside Mithril Ezel. I mean, not Mithril, Scissors Ezel. So Limit Break 5, when he rides on top of an Ezel, he gets 10k, and your opponent cannot call cards from hand other than your hand. Oh, wow. They can only call grade 1s. Oh, right, Detonate Stinger Dragon is just grade 1 or above. I'm getting those two mixed up with this guy. So it's something. You're just going to be running it as an Ezel name because there's Ezel support in G set 7 or 8, was it? I think it was set 8, yeah. Blackwing Swordbreaker, probably the best double R reprint out of here because every Shadow Paladin deck plays one or two of these things. It was getting really expensive for a while now, and then it went back down. Like, not much else I can say. Like, Shadow Paladins can fetch this incredibly easy, be it Revengers with Judge Bow, Claret Sword, and now Luar can fetch out two of these things. Be mindful of your soul, but otherwise, well, like, this is a really good reprint. Sanctuary Guard Arc, one of the newer cards coming out of here. It's basically just a better Sanctuary Guard Dragon, and it'll be your preferred ride for the deck. GB2, your grade 1 or less unit gets a 5k. And then when your Sanctuary Guard G unit strides, you can discard a card to call a grade 1 or less unit to Rearguard Circle, and it gets 3k. And then you also get 3k. It's just a Generation Break version of Sanctuary Guard Dragon. Not much else I can really say about that. Moving on to the Triple R slash SP units in this set. I'm just going to really mention the ones I feel are very noteworthy. If I don't mention one, please don't be offended. But let's just get right down to this. So first off, we have Arc Saber Dragon, one of the very few normal grade 4 units in the game, alongside with Novel Vague and some Great Nature thing. So this unit's skill is Auto Vanguard, Counterblast 3, Soul Blast 3. At the beginning of your main phase, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to one card from your deck, Soul, Drop Zone, and Damage Soul. Up to a total of 3 cards, call them the separate rear guards, and then shuffle your deck. So he allows you to basically call 3 things. It's not restricted on what you call, you just call 3 things. That's actually pretty neat, and the fact that he has no limit break or generation break restrictions makes this pretty solid. 13k base is very strong defensively. You can't put this thing on rear guard, even by superior calling, but hey, it's going to be just a Vanguard only thing. The only really issue I have with this guy is, well, Royal Paladins just seem to have better grade 3s to work with. Like, Altmail has Altmail plus the new Altmail coming up. I don't know if you would run this in that. Sanctuary Guard obviously has its Sanctuary Guards. Blaster has its Blaster engine, and Alfred has Alfred. This would have been, I think, really good back during Seeker format, maybe? I don't know. It's hard to find a place for this thing. I'm sure you can like build your own deck around this thing. But the fact that you can call from damage zone 2 and it doesn't say anything else about that means you effectively are healing 1 for Counterblast 3. So you can basically say Counterblast 2, call a unit from your damage zone, from your drop zone, and from your soul, which are probably your best toolboxes, in addition to your deck too. So you have to think about what you would call, but still, it's actually pretty good for that. But I think it's just a matter of there are just better things to run. Holy Dragon Sanctuary Guard Imperial is the Sanctuary Guard Stride, and the one you'll probably use every once in a while. Skill is once per turn, Counterblast 1. If you have a Heart Card or Sanctuary Guard in your card name, you can choose one of your Grade 1 or less rear guards. Until end of turn, it gets 3,000 power for each Grade 1 or less rear guard. And auto, when this unit attack hits the Vanguard, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets power plus 10,000 and plus 1 critical. I guess is a finisher. Honestly, if they're not dead after 3 to 4 Regaliers, then I don't know what to tell you. Because Regalier is just the better card. Supremacy Dragon or Geyser Dragon, this was a much needed reprint. Every Shadow Paladin deck runs either 2 of these things or runs 1 of these things plus a Doomed. Either way, or Geyser is a very good reprint. And I'd say like one of the very few staples in that deck alongside Phantom Blaster Diablo. Like being able to convert cards on field into hand has always been a very, very good ability. And hey, he sometimes gets power too, but just be mindful of the soul blasting when playing a Luard deck because that deck goes through soul like no tomorrow. Omniscience Regalia Minerva is the Genesis Triple R reprint. Not that I'm complaining because Minerva is like one of my favorite units, but at the same time, it's like, Minerva, really? I figured of all of the Genesis units that could get the Triple R reprint, it would have been either Fenrir, given how relevant his deck is right now. Although I guess they're saying that if it's got an SP reprint in the SP pack, then it's exempt from here. I think that's kind of silly, but I digress. It either could have been Fenrir or Yatagarasu, given that Yatagarasu is kind of seeing play in Fenrir decks as a backup grade 3 if you're not going for Wiseman. There's also any of the legions, but I'm assuming they're just not going to be doing legions in this one. They'll do those in, I don't know, another set. Because I think Yggdrasil could have used the reprint as well. But Minerva is still a fairly iconic card. And if they ever decide to like print good Regalia support in a future booster set, then this could very well become viable. I mean, look at what they did with Star Raiders and Chaos Breaker Dragon and Draconic Overlord. If there's any Regalia unit that would benefit from getting the Overlord treatment, it would definitely be Minerva because she's still a restanding Vanguard, and restanding is still pretty damn good. They just have to do something about her inability to hit for big numbers anymore because Minerva is basically swinging 11 unboosted and 13 unboosted, and those numbers aren't scary anymore. Speaking of restanders and Overlords, Dote's getting a reprint, and it's a very good one at that because Dote's always been pretty pricey. His Awakening Twin Blades one was kind of difficult to get. Fighters Collection SP was also hard to get, and after that, it was pretty much only those. You couldn't find Dote any other ways. This set fixes that by giving you another means to get Dote, and this will probably be the cheapest one of them all. The Cross, I think, is fairly cheap as well, so Dote X becomes a inexpensive deck. Who'd have figured? Cosmic Hero Grand Gallop is the DP Triple R that's getting reprinted, and as far as like Dimension Place units go, this isn't a bad choice. Cross Gallop, I think, is actually quite cheap given what sets 7 and 8 are like. Is it set 7 or 8? I forget which set Cross Gallop's in, but Cross Gallop isn't very expensive. Grand Gallop was the one that was starting to go up because of the DP hype. Obviously, they've announced a new Grand Gallop, and it's better, but until we get the Trinity Dragon Booster, this is still going to be your go-to grade 3 choice. And I really can't complain about this. I mean, what else could they really reprinted in here that isn't a Legion? And I'm glad they didn't print any of the Dimensional Robos because I fucking hate Super Dimensional Robos. Oh god, I hate Die Kaiser so much. So I'm glad he's not in here. Seriously, F that deck. Chaos Breaker Dragon, this card needed to reprint very badly. It's still been kind of pricey for what it does. Chaos is arguably the best Link Joker deck in the current format, as it's able to combat 7C's Rush the best. Of course, it also kind of, well, it can also somewhat compete against the other decks, but like Chaos Breaker's just always been a money card, and now this is your chance to get some without paying out the rear. Gilded Eye is the dimension, not the dimension, but it's dark irregular triple R reprint. And I can't really fault them for reprinting this one. I mean, when it comes to dark irregulars, I'm trying to think of like really money cards from them outside of like a Harlot, but even then, he's like a more recent card, and they won't do that. In my opinion, reprinting the generic Persona Flip Strides that could be splashed into any deck. I know, kind of redundant text here, but I want to reinforce it how easy this is to play some of these cards. Being able to reprinting these cards is like some of the best things you can do because any variant of this clan can play this card. And as a result, it tends to be more difficult to find and price because people have been stocking up and holding on to theirs because they won't get rid of it. Because at the very end of the day, even if their new support's terrible, their old card, like Gilded Eye and Conquest Dragon, are still good for their deck, so they're not going to get rid of them. So, yeah, I have no problem with Gilded Eye being reprinted in here. He's one of the better DI strides. Lord of the Seven Seas Night Mist is getting the triple R reprint as opposed to the double R reprint from his BT13. So hey, that's pretty neat. And granted, the Seven Seas deck in this vein has fallen off. Now, if you're seeing Seven Seas, it's just the Grade 1 Rush. But Rumi Labyrinth is going to be reprinting more 7 Seas support. And if they decide to just hit Night Runner, then we might see this being played again. Like, Night Rose is arguably the better deck now because it can make use of the G Guardian and Countercharge Engine the best, but this deck is still pretty good at what it does. Night Mist was pretty pricey for quite some time. Hopefully they'll reprint the other Night Mist in a later set, as I think he's still kind of pricey. I don't know. I haven't checked on his price in the last while, but it'll be very interesting to do a market watch on this set actually. But we'll wait a week or two before I decide to do that. But good choice here. The only other card they could have reprinted for Granblue, I think that they would be Mist Phantasm Pirate King Night Rose, and I honestly think they're going to be doing that in the Rumi Labyrinth booster as a reissue reprint. And then we get to, in my opinion, the chase card of the set. He was the chase card of set 2, and he's still one of the most expensive strides in the game. Even post reprint being announced, he's kind of pricey, and that's Marine General Affinity Silk Lambros. Lambroken, like, there's so many things you can call this card, but he is just bonkers. Like, this card single-handedly put Aquaforce back on the map. He dominated the format. He sees play in every Aquaforce variant. You can run him in anything because he is very easy to achieve. Maelstrom, Blue Storm, Blue Wave, Lambros, like, what can I really say? Not Lambros, Thavaz, there we go. Like, what can I really say about this guy? Like, he on 4th attack or more? No, is it just 4th attack? I think it's just 4th attack. Yeah. Oh no, it's 4th or more. So he is wave 4 or greater. That's even sillier. So like you stand 2 of your rear guards and they get 10k power, which combined with Total Assault leads to really dirty shenanigans. Like this, I think will be a $20 card, which considering the fact that this original printing used to be in the $80 range, at least for Canada, is saying something. Like, man, this guy needed the reprint more than anything else, and I'm so glad they're doing it. And it's because of this guy being here, I think that this set will sell well because many people have always wanted to play Aquaforce, but they just couldn't because the price of the deck was so much for what it was doing in the format. But now that Lambros is being reprinted in this set, now that Storm Dominator Commander Thavaz got reprinted in the last set, and Wailing Thavaz is actually pretty cheap for what it is, I think you might see a spike in Aquaforce decks. Now your locals won't always just be Paladin, 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 Paladin. Now you'll see Paladin, Paladin, Aquaforce, Paladin, Paladin. And you know what? I'm fine with that. Like, I kind of want to build this deck. Like, granted, I only have Blue Wave, but I might actually think about picking up Thavaz because that deck is still, I think, reasonably cheap now that these cards have been reprinted. But the thing is, though, because these cards in this set have been reprinted, some of these decks might just see more play in general because now you don't have to give up an arm and a leg to get your play sets of Nightmare Doll Alice or your Orgeizers or your um, Lambroses. And for that, I'm giving Bushy Road kudos because this set is a brilliant idea. It's a much needed idea, and I'm hoping, again, that this set sells really well because if it does, Bushy Road will see that we want more of this, and as a result, we'll eventually get a Revival Collection 2 and a 3. And imagine what they can do in later Revival Collections. Legions, such as Bluish Flame Liberator, Prominence Glare, Brawler, Big Bang Knuckle Buster. What's another one? Draconic Overlord the Cross? Thing Saver Dragon, Phantom Blaster Abyss. Or some of the more important stride cards like Conquest Dragon. He didn't get in here. Kind of a miss in my opinion. Rising Nova, Gaia Emperor, Shiranui, G Perfect cards such as Dragon Dancer Anastasia, Protect Orb Dragon. Like, there are a lot of other cards that can definitely fit into a Revival collection, but only if the set does well. So, if you're a Vanguard player and you're on the fence on if you want to get the set or not, look at the cards in here and ask yourself, which of these do I want? And even if I don't want any of these, are any of my friends looking for these? Because if so, I can probably trade these off for things like people are going to be going for this set for Lambros, and if you're not trying to build Lambros, but you pull it, guess what? You probably will be able to flip that around for, oh, I don't know, 2 Grand Gallops if you're trying to build Dimension Police. Like, they didn't get everything I think could have been in here, but for the most part, this set has more hits than misses, and among those hits, there are some real home runs. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to keep this reasonably short for a set review. I'll eventually get this format down properly, although the next time I do a set review, it's probably going to be like whenever Naras get their next set of announcements. Oh, set 11, set 12, who knows? And even then, I don't know if I want to because if it ends up being like set 10 again, I'll probably just be pissed out the entire video. Although I'm sure you guys enjoyed hearing me rant and rave like a lunatic, but I digress. We're just going to stop here and say, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And TLDR, Revival Collection is good. Go buy it. I know I will. Stay tuned for me doing a box opening on that, as I want to just like get the word out on this as much as I can so that they'll, again, see the set's doing well and they'll make more of it because at the end of the day, reprints are good.